And number three, be like, oh, she overcame that. Oh, she got through that. That means that I could overcome and I can get through it. Like there is nothing that anybody goes through that they wouldn't be able to say, well, I went through this and this is what I experienced. And this is what I learned from that experience. And what you learn from the experience helps you gain wisdom. Welcome to the Bold, Bossy, and Blessed podcast. I'm your host, Nakisa Green, your conversationalist, where you can join me weekly as I discuss and share parenting, dating, and relationships, one conversation at a time. Now let's get into it. Yes, let's get into it, y'all. What's up? It is Nakisa Green, host of Bold, Bossy, and Blessed podcast, your favorite conversationalist. I am so happy to be back with another episode. First of all, I am so excited for all the feedback I have been getting about the show. I really appreciate everybody's support by liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing. Like I made a post on my Facebook page and I said I have almost like 5K people on my Facebook, but my YouTube page only had like, I don't know, 11 subscribers or something like that. And mind you, it is a new YouTube page. I wasn't using YouTube like that, but since I started season 2 of the podcast, I am using YouTube now. So I asked for people to go and subscribe, and I think I got over 50 people. So I'm like either almost at 60. Let me check actually while I'm live on the show. But I really appreciate the fact that I just had to ask and people just started subscribing. So I have 56 subscribers now. So I have at least 45 new subscribers in the last 2 days when I posted that post on Facebook. So I just want to say I really appreciate y'all. Y'all be riding with your girl. I'm like, okay, I see you. You know, I get the notifications, I get the emails, and people were commenting on the page as well. So I really appreciate that. I do not take your support for granted. That is why I continue to show up every week and be consistent. This is episode 10, y'all, of season 2. I have been recording for the last 10 weeks for this podcast. And I will not say that it has been easy because there are days where things don't go as planned. I know I told y'all last week I was going to have a guest on the show to talk about women empowerment moves that she's been making. However, that is going to be happening next week. I had another guest planned for today, but that guest reached out to me today and asked to reschedule due to a family emergency, and I definitely understand and appreciate it. However, the show must still go on. There was a time, though, in the beginning of me recording season 2, where I was like, what am I going to do if a guest does not show up? And I had to realize that no matter what, I'm the one doing this podcast. Like, I'm the host of this podcast. So I am the main one that has to make sure it happens. So if I don't show up, the show is not going to happen. So I know that I am just going to continue to be consistent. I was looking at somebody's Instagram page the other day. I think it was Marty Woodard, and I don't know if I'm saying his name right or not, but he made a post about people like thinking that they have to have everything together before they get started, and that's why they don't get started. And he said the main thing is consistency. And I would have to say that I have really seen a change in my social media page and how I show up just by being consistent. So me showing up for 10 weeks straight, recording this podcast because I want to make sure that I am doing what I said I wanted to do, which is be a motivational hope pusher and a light in this world and provide people with testimonies of other people that have been through adversities and have overcome and continue to overcome. Because I think I said in an earlier episode that you don't just get through one adversity and then that's it. Like it don't work like that. Like I seen some meme recently, I think it's at the beginning of the year, and people were talking about how Lord, make sure I'm not on the strong girl package plan this year. And I'm like, I've chuckled because I'm like, I remember a time when I used to be the same way. Like I used to ask God, like, hey, like I've been through enough. Like I'm good. I don't need anything else. Thanks, sir. I'm pretty strong, right? I'm thinking like I'm pretty strong. And then something else happened, and I'm like, dang, I still got some more to go. Like I still have to continue to evolve into the woman that he created me to be. And so I'm happy to be here for my 10th episode. Make sure you are following me on social media. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Nikisa Green, and that is spelled Nikisagreeen on all social media platforms. You can also follow my podcast channel on YouTube as well as Instagram at Bold Bossy Bless. So let me get that up here at Bold Bossy Bless on YouTube as well as Instagram. Y'all, this is 10 episodes in to season 2, right? So today I told you all my guests had to reschedule, and I was like, okay, am I going to record today? Because I still have some leg room to record later, but I'm going to be traveling this weekend. So I'm like, I don't want to take no chances because like when you like I have a producer for certain episodes, and then the other episodes I produce. So like this episode I'm producing, so I have to do all the edits and all the cuts, and that could be time consuming. So the earlier I get the podcast recorded, the better it is for me when it comes to it being released on time on Monday. But I'm just so happy to say that I have released an episode every Monday for the last 10 weeks. So it's a celebrate, y'all. It's a celebrate. Also, don't forget to go to my website. I got a website, y'all. I actually have a website. Boldbossybless.com. That's www.boldbossybless.com, which leads me to my first topic. At the beginning of 2021, I started my own t-shirt business. And the t-shirt business wasn't like, oh, I'm going to get a logo, just some random logo and go buy some t-shirts or go get some t-shirts. I was like, no. Well, what happened was God gave me this this declaration is what I have come to call it, which is God is faithful and I'm grateful, right? That would not leave me. It would not leave me. Like I would wake up and it would be in my head. I would go to sleep, it would be in my head. I would be throughout the day, it would be in my head. And I'm like, okay, God, do you want me to do something with this? Like, what are you saying to me? Because you know my heart. Like if don't nobody in this world know my heart, you know my heart, which is why I have comfort in that, because people are people and they be peopling. So I'm like, okay, what do we do with it? And the t-shirt, I was like, okay, we'll put on a t-shirt. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, how am I gonna do this? Like, what am I gonna do? So I reached out to my sister, and she gave me some information for me to research because she has t-shirts as well for her actual business. And she was like, reach out to them or see, you can do like mock t-shirts online and things like that. Now mind you, I have no experience in t-shirt business. I didn't have a clue. I had never had a t-shirt business. Like this was like all new to me. But I am a researcher, so I had no problem with researching and finding out what I needed to find out so that I could get this product out. So then I found a t-shirt printing company in Dallas. And so this is a big for me. I have to feel the material, and the material has to be right. So it has to be soft. It's a unisex t-shirt, but it has to be soft. Not too soft, but just like a right blend of softness. But that cotton, that hard cotton, I don't like that. It washes out, it gets white. Like during COVID, I think that's what I wanted to say. Like at the beginning of 2020 and during COVID, like I was doing all this supporting black owned businesses, which I still do, and businesses in general. So businesses in general and black owned business, I was supporting them. So I was buying everybody's t-shirts, and I was also learning about the t-shirt business, even though at that time I didn't know that I was going to have my own t-shirt. So I learned though what material I liked and what material I didn't like. And I also learned that because of some mishaps that I want to make sure that what my customer is getting is what I will put on my body. I don't want to just be selling something just to be saying, oh, I'm selling t-shirts, or oh, I sold a t-shirt. No, we're not doing that over here. We're not doing that, child. No. So found a t-shirt printing company, and I found next door to the t-shirt printing company was the actual store where they had all the like clothing, all the material, all the apparel, different types of everything. You go in there and you like, oh my goodness, okay, like where do I begin, right? So went over there, felt the t-shirt that I wanted, and then I placed the order, y'all. Now I went from not knowing nothing about t-shirt business, not knowing nothing about like what everything is called, screen printing, DTG. Like I didn't know any of that. All I knew is that God had given me a declaration that He wanted to spread across the world, and that makes me think about like this last weekend. My sister, who is the CEO of Savvy Chicks in Real Estate, she had her first retreat with some of the ladies, and 17 of these ladies went to Bali. And this was their first time going to Bali. And I was saw on Instagram one of her friends, which is a sister to me now, she had my shirt on that she had brought. And I'm like, okay, this is the second time that I know of that my shirt has been international, because my sister wore it before too as well. I think she wore it in Dubai. So now my shirt then made it to Dubai. Now it's done been in Bali. And it's my shirt has been places I haven't even been yet. But I'm going, y'all. So just excited. Just excited about how this has evolved. So I want to like go back and just break this down. Place my order, right? I placed a small order, but enough to be like, okay, if I sell out on this, I know that there's a need for it and people are going to buy it. But I definitely did not want to waste any money either, y'all. So placed my first order. I remember when I went to go pick it up, I was so excited, and it was in this white box. I think I have some video when I went into the store. I have to look for it, and I think I'll do like some BTS videos on Instagram so you can see it. So, got my first order and got home, and I'm taking the shirts out and I'm filling them, and I'm like, putting them in the orders, because I was thinking that most people would be buying like a small or medium. So I didn't get like a lot of larges or extra larges, because I thought the average size was like a small or a medium. So I think I did have larges, but I didn't have like extra large or like XX large. Not keeping in mind that men want to buy this t-shirt too. Like it's a unisex t-shirt, and men wear extra large, XX large, triple X large, and I didn't keep that in mind, but I will in the future. So, sold out of my first order. I was so excited. I said, I sold out my first order. Now I'm finna go big. I was like, now I'm finna go big. I took a bag, brought some more t-shirts. Baby, how many t-shirts you think I had sold in that first month when I went to go spend that 1K on some t-shirts? A couple. Like, I don't know. a handful, five. I don't know. I actually have to go back and look at the numbers. And I got so disappointed and so discouraged because I was like, oh my goodness, I thought this was a demand. And apparently I was wrong. Either that or I'm not marketing it correct. That's an area that I still need help in. And I was like, now how am I going to get these t shirts sold? Lord, because I thought that it was gonna sell out like fast. I'm like, oh my goodness, these t-shirts in high demand. People are asking for it. They on Instagram asking for it. They DMing me about it. I'm like, okay, but it has slowed down on my second order. So I was like, that didn't go the way I had expected it to go. I want to say that I am almost sold out of my second order. Finally, so happy because during that period too, it challenged me in what I believed in and that God had given me. And don't get me wrong, I understand like sometimes we have to pivot in business. Sometimes we have to adjust when it comes to business and the economy and things that's going on. But I was just like, I ain't trying to waste no money. And it's so many layers to it. Like it's so many layers. So at one point I had a Shopify store where you couldn't get that t-shirt from the Shopify store because that Shopify store had vendors that was out of the country. And I was not trusting my signature t-shirt with vendors out the country. And I had like hoodies, I had hats, I had a lot of different accessories for it. And I ended up shutting the Shopify site down because it had got to a point where shipping from overseas were delayed by weeks. Like I had one customer waiting almost a month for a coffee mug, for one coffee mug. And so I care about reviews, I care about quality, I care about service, I care about consumers getting what they pay for if I can help it, if it's in my control, right? Because I know y'all still waiting on this ebook to be released or a book in general to be released. And it is coming, y'all. I appreciate your patience. I promise you, I appreciate it. But anyway, back to the story about the t shirts. So I shut the Shopify store down and then I just kept the t shirts. And you know, everybody that I knew had brought a t-shirt, so it was like, okay, now what? And then I started having strangers to buy the t-shirt, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I just want to say that I wasn't completely sold on me finishing out this second order because it had been so long since I purchased the second order, to the point that they had reached out to me and was like, hey, you ready for another order? And it's like, no, no, sir. I'm still on that same batch. I'm still on that same batch, sir. I will call you when I'm ready to order again, which will be soon now because I am almost sold out. Hey. And I am sold out of the white t-shirts. I have like one white t-shirt left. So ain't no the white t-shirt is gonna be on backlog. I am going to place an order once I get back from out of town, but I am still figuring out what is the right amount of shirts to order. What I did learn though is that smalls is not the size for people to get if they haven't wore the shirt before. I learned that, and medium, large, and extra large were pretty popular. But I think people also understood too that my t-shirts, they have a little space in it, so it's not smug. So I can wear small, I can wear medium, I can wear large, but I can wear small comfortable. And people were thinking that they may have needed a medium, and then they found out all they needed was a small. So I understand, like when you order it online, wanted to make sure that the t-shirt is big enough and things like that. But the end of the story is that I am almost sold out. Finally, finally, y'all. And I will definitely be having bold, bossy, and blessed apparel and material coming out as well. I think I just resolved with that name this year. Like when I was doing my first couple of episodes for season 2, like that was a resolve for me as well, being comfortable and accepting bold, bossy, and blessed, because I know that there's a negative stigma on it, but I also know what it means to me. And I also know what it means when I say it. Sometimes people will be like, "Oh, I thought you was bold and bossy," and I'm like, "Who told you that?" Like, if somebody told me I'm bold and bossy, like together, not like separate, but like together, though, that's probably a person that doesn't have any like intimate space or time with me, don't converse with me on the phone, and don't know me at all. But I have struggles with being bold, which is why I have been consistently coming before you, because I know that that's something that's in me to be bold. Now I can be bold when I'm sticking up for a right cause. I can be bold at those moments. If it's, because I don't like bullying. I was bullied in school, and as an adult, I just don't play bullying at all. Like, I don't play. Thank you all for listening to my story about the t-shirt business. I am just so elated. I realized, because I got an order from a friend in New York, and I was like, okay, I got an order. It's like you get excited when you get orders. But I also haven't and don't like promote it as much either, because, sometimes it just all seems the same to me. So I am going to get better in that, and I'm definitely going to hire someone to do that for me, because that is not technically my strength lane. I can do it, but I have so much other stuff that I'm doing. Like coming before you on this podcast, even though things didn't go as planned. I am going to move on to the next topic. Oh, I know what I wanted. So, y'all, I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were chit chatting about like, would you move out the country and live in another country? And my answer was, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't move out the country. I wouldn't say I wouldn't move out the country. I would say that I would definitely keep my options open when it comes to that. I don't feel like I'm stuck in America. However, I did mention that last year I didn't visit my family in Chicago. And the year before that was a very trying year, because my sister had got sick with COVID. We was in Chicago. Well, she lives in Illinois, but I was visiting Chicago for my great aunt's funeral, and my sister ended up getting COVID from somebody at the funeral that had just came from vacation, and they wasn't feeling well, and they still came to the reception. And so my sister got contracted COVID. And a couple of days later, we went out for my nephew's birthday. And so that was the last time I had saw my sister. The next week, my family came to Texas, but before they came, that's when we found out my sister had got COVID. And my mom was like, she didn't know if she was going to come or not, because my sister had COVID. And I've had experience with COVID from the beginning, because my daughter had got it like March 2020 when it first started. And then I've had it twice. So I have some knowledge as far as like advice, from not stuff that I'm reading on the paper or looking at on the news, but stuff that I experienced and my daughter experienced and people that I know. So I was giving my sister like those things, tips, and letting her know what to look for, this and that. And then my family came out, and then when they was leaving, either that same day that they was leaving or the next day, it was like everything started escalating. My sister was in the hospital, and so I guess she had went to the hospital before, and then they sent her home. And then the second time when her husband took her back to the hospital, which is my brother, that's when they had kept her and things were extreme. At this point, they had put her in ICU. And oh my goodness. So this is hard to talk about, even though this happened almost 2 years ago. It's not sad tears. It's just tears of like gratefulness. I didn't think that I was gonna tear up because I just had this conversation with somebody and I teared up at that moment. So I didn't think I was gonna tear up again at this moment. Okay. So they wouldn't let my brother in the hospital because they lived together and they wanted him to go home and quarantine on his own. So he couldn't stay at the hospital with my sister. And my sister was in the ICU. And at first she was communicating with the phone. The end of the story is that my sister is good. She just came back from Bali, y'all. So excuse me for just being transparent right now and just showing you all um my sensitive side. But they wouldn't let him in the hospital, and my sister had slowed down on communication on the phone. And if you known me, you know that I'm the type of person that I've like my sister has always been like my ride or die. So like we wasn't close in high school. I used to look up to her, but we wasn't close. I didn't talk to her. And it wasn't until we got like, grown when we was adults that we became close. And I talk about people that be on camera crying, not like serious, but like when they telling stories and then here I am. But anyway, so we became close. Like she's always been there since I was born. And as an adult, when I became an adult, I've always been able to like call her and get advice from her and get help from her, like anything. I'm her only sister. I'm her little sister. So me and my sister, we're close. Like that's my ride or die. And so so they wouldn't let her husband at the hospital, and they would let my mom and my auntie come. So my nephew, he was able to come, and they let him like be on the floor. He couldn't go inside the room, but they let him like come on the floor, and he would stand outside her room, outside the glass door, and just look over her and pray for her and make sure she was good and talk to the nurses. And when he wasn't there, like him and my brother-in-law, they would be calling and talking to the nurses on different shifts, because there are hospitals that if they don't feel like nobody is like checking for you, like they would treat you like anything, and these doctors have to know that. And something did happen, where one of the machines wasn't working and they wasn't paying attention and didn't even know. But not going to finish that. That is my sister's testimony, but it's also my family's testimony as well, because God did a miracle in her life. Like when I say he turned it around, like he woke up the giant in her. And our family is grateful, her friends are grateful, and we're just grateful, which goes back to that whole t-shirt. God is faithful and I'm grateful. And I just thank God. I really do. I thank God for the love that was received. I thank God for the kindness that was received for my sister, and the prayers and things that was received for her. So that was not even what I was trying to talk about. I was trying to get to the part about I hadn't seen my sister since we went out for my nephew's birthday before she found out she had COVID. So last year, I did not go to Chicago. Um, and I didn't visit. So I didn't see my dad, and I didn't see some other family members. And so this year I was thinking about it, and I'm like, wow, I didn't go to Chicago last year. You know, my parents, they getting older. Like my mom, she comes to visit me, and my grandma came down here. My aunties, they come visit me. I got cousins that come out here, so I'm happy for that. But I understand, like my parents are getting older, my grandma is getting older. So I told God I wanted to be intentional with this year, making sure that I am traveling back to see my parents and my grandma and spend time with them, because time is really something that you just cannot get back, right? Like you can't pay to get time, like time keeps on going, which is why a lot of people try to encourage others to not let fear like stop them from doing what they want to do, because at the end of the day, like time is still going. I read a book called Slight Edge, and it talked about like how everything you do or don't do affects your life. And I believe that. So that's why I also believe what I was saying earlier about the whole consistency, like me being consistently productive in the things that I say I wanted to do, and also in just keeping my word to myself. Like I feel some people are able to break their promise that they made to themselves because they made it to themselves. And I've been one of those people where it's like, okay, well, I made that promise to myself. Okay, it's okay if I don't keep it, you know, because it's just me. But I was supposed to um continue to be integral, even if it's been integral with myself. So keeping my own word, like I always say, it's me versus me, man. Every day is me versus me, man. And then in the spirit, of course, is me versus the devil and his minions. But as far as people is concerned, it's me versus me. I don't have competition. I'm not competing with anybody, and I'm not thriving to be anybody. I do get inspired by people, and everybody already knows that my sister is one of those people that I am inspired by. Always have been before people even knew who she was. I always knew that she was an amazing person and that she was going to do great things in this world. So I'm elated to be her little sister. And um, wanted to pivot because y'all already got me on this podcast tearing up and crying and things like that. So let's move on to the next topic. So back to the out of the country. So they asked me like, would you date out the country? And I'm like, I probably would. I probably could see myself dating out the country, but I couldn't see myself dating somebody out the country that I never met. I would definitely have to meet you first, because when you meet somebody, there are a lot of unanswered answers that come into play when you meet somebody in person. And y'all know I'm a firm believer that you can have a lot of things in common with a person. You can get along with a person, but you still have to have like a connection with them. You still have to have chemistry with them in person and not just over the phone. So it can't be like I meet you on the internet and we're talking and we get into a relationship, and then no, it can't be that. It has to be I have to meet you, and then we can move on from there on how we're gonna, handle that situation. But I was saying that for this year I will be doing a lot of traveling, and here we are in April, and I am still traveling. I'm just grateful because last year I didn't do any traveling. And I can't remember the last time I went out the country. It's been a minute since I've been out the country, and I'm going to be out the country a couple of times this year. So I'm excited about that. Excited to get these stamps on my passport. What about you? Would you date out the country, and what would be your boundaries or standards for dating somebody out the country? And I also said that like there will have to be a end game, like an end plan, like a plan where we're like, okay, for this 12 months, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. At the end of this 12 months, we're going to make a decision about if you're going to move here, I'm going to move there, or we're going to move to a different whatever. Like something will have to be in play when it comes to that, because we don't fall in love with words over here, y'all. And I learned that from my coach, Coach Tora Sense. We don't fall in love with words. We just we're not doing that. So, and I'm not saying that words doesn't have meaning or they don't matter. They definitely do. But action speaks louder than words. Even the Bible says, show me your faith without works. So that's how I feel about it when it comes to out of the country dating. And okay, I think I covered all the topics I wanted to cover. Man, y'all, this week has been really something. Like, my allergies have been really out of control, and I've never had that experience before, to the point where I had to go to the doctor because I was like, I don't know if I got COVID. I don't know if I got strep throat, but it's a lot going on, and I need to know what's going on. And found out that it was allergies, y'all. Just allergies. So then they gave me a steroid called prednisone, and then I bought some Zyrtec and I bought Zyrtec D. So between the Zyrtec D and the prednisone, I have insomnia. And I'm just like, now I can't even sleep. So I'm just like, you gave me that medicine to handle that part, but then this other part comes that I got to deal with. Now I ain't got no sleep. Like, now I had no sleep. But I can get some sleep tonight, y'all, because it is actually in the evening time that I'm recording this podcast. I also will be going to Chicago to celebrate my 2-year old grandson's birthday, who lives in Texas now. But we're going to Chicago to celebrate his birthday with family. So this gives me another opportunity to see my family as well as to see my dad. He had, well, our cousin passed, but my dad was close to this cousin. And I would say that over the last 4 years, like, my dad's side of the family has been really getting hit with deaths or like people that my dad was close to. And I was like, okay, God, I see why now, I have to, I made this year to be the year where I would make sure I would be intentional about going back home and seeing my family. And it's okay, I love my family. My dad has always been there. My mom, like, today is actually April 13th, but when you hear the recording, it would be April 17th. April 13th is also the day that we laid my cousin to rest, who was 2 weeks older than me. And I believe it was 10 years ago. And who would have thought that it would have been 10 years since I seen my cousin, right? So me and my cousin was close, and I think every year I always be like on, like, people who I was close to, like either their birthday or their death or the time we had their funeral. It'll be something going on. I'll be like, okay, God, like, what's going on today? Like, what's going on? And then get on Facebook or my memory, just the dates, like 13, like April 13th, because my grandfather also passed in April, 2 weeks before his 98th birthday. So I just remember these dates, and I knew something was going on. Go on Facebook and I see my cousin, and I'm like, okay, this is that day. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, wow, what a week, right? What a week. But at the end of it, I would say that this has definitely been a challenging week for me. I am okay with being transparent with you all. I am okay with shedding some tears. I do cry. I am not this strong, independent woman. While I do take care of myself, I am not the strong, independent woman. I am a woman that is an adult, and I do adult things by paying my bills. But anyway, um, thank you all for listening to episode 10. I guess this will go down as a very memorable episode, since it was the time where I was able to share with you all some personal things as it relates to my family and where my heart is. And I think that this podcast is kind of therapeutic as well because I don't know, I just feel good. I feel good, and I feel good that I am able to come to you every week with a brand new episode and just talk to y'all. I don't always know what I'm going to talk about when I get behind the mic, and that's because I threw my paper away a long time ago because it would be like I was rehearsed and it wasn't me being my normal self. So now I'd be like, okay, throughout the day I may think about it, or once I get ready to record, I'll be like, okay, what we gonna talk about today? And it always comes. So I didn't know what I was gonna talk about today on the show until I was like setting up, and I only knew I wanted to talk about the whole t-shirt business thing because of everything that happened this week. But all right, y'all, I am going to end this podcast on that note, and you all already know what I'm going to say, right? Be bold, make boss moves in your purpose, and stay blessed. Thank you for listening to another episode of Bold, Bossy, and Blessed podcast. Make sure you're following me on all social media platforms at Nikisa Green, and make sure you subscribe to this podcast as well. Until next time, be bold, make bossy moves, and stay blessed. Go to my website, www.boldbossyblessed.com, and use discount code OVERCOME to purchase the ebook, Overcome Obstacles: How to Overcome Obstacles and Turn Them into Success.